around to spy on you to make sure you're friendly.
I bet they do. They probably, you know, say that their customer service is part of their spiel. So they can charge you a little more on the groceries. Okay. Did anything after we left yesterday? Did anything like, oh, you know, I wish I'd have talked about that one thing?
I think so, but I can't remember what it was. Oh, I think I would have liked to said how much fun Bob was.
Mm-hmm.
All I did was talk about his drinking. But Bob had a lot of friends. We met a lot of people, and he was fun to dance with, which was always important to me. He was a lot of fun.
Everybody seemed to like him, you know, even though there's the good and the bad. You know, I've said it to, you know, Joe and my mom and Kirk that I only have good memories of Bob.
Yeah. He loved kids.
I always got that impression. I loved Bob Hawley. So it was really rough at the end when he was gone, but because he made such an impression. It was the only real grandpa I ever had to this, you know, ever. So, you know, he was really important to everybody in the family, and, you know, you guys, I mean, he was in your life for 40 years, right?
Long time.
Long time.
And I would have stuck with him if it hadn't been for the drinking, but it was bad.
Well, you stuck with him for a long time in spite of all that, so, you know, it can only go so far. We all in this family know a little bit about divorce and being fed up, and
There's been a lot of divorces, and I started it.
well, somebody has to. It's not always going to be, you know, perfect marriages through the whole dang family forever and ever. It's just kind of the way things are, I guess. We kind of got to around like, you know, the 1990 era-ish, somewhere around there. That would seem to be around the time when you met Vic, right in that time.
Yeah. I had met Vic a long time before that at Parents Without Partners.
What's that?
It's a club of Parents Without Partners. It's a divorced people's or
Oh, okay.
widow, just if you didn't have a spouse. And Don and I went religiously to Parents Without Partners and
Like
danced.
a singles thing.
Yeah. And I was an officer for quite a while. I was secretary of that club for a long time. And I actually met him there, but I always wanted to dance with him, but he never asked me.
How come? You saw him dance before and he was a good
I saw
dancer?
him dancing. He's a wonderful dancer. So Don and I went to a club called Sinatra's. It was on like 51st Avenue and what's the street north of Northern, I guess, up there someplace. A club called Sinatra's, run of course by an Italian family, and we went there and we used to go there and dance, and that's where I met, actually got to know Vic, and we danced together, and then he started calling me. And would you believe I was with Vic for 17 years?
That's a long time. I didn't remember at first, but talking to Joe, because I was foggy on the overlap between Bob and Vic, and she said that you guys had, even though you and Bob had separated, he still came to family functions, Christmases and the like. And I remember over at Joe and Steve's, that first house over there with the pool on 51st Ave or 55th or whatever it was. And I didn't remember at the time because I thought they were separated by the time length, but she had mentioned that Bob and Vic would show up.
I remember one dinner, and
how did that
Vic's
go?
mother was there too. It was okay.
It was okay?
It was okay.
Was Bob like kind of not creating any negativity or static? Or
I remember he was kind of teasing Vic's mother, Anna. She was there. And he was talking to her most of the time. I can't remember any problems with it.
I barely remembered them being at the same place, so there must not have been. But I remember Bob going to a lot of those functions. I remember we had to drive him home one time from one. That was the last time I saw him.
He was drinking?
Yeah, I mean, it was a party, you know, so it's not like he was out of line or anything. But I remember, I think my parents, we had the van back then, that big, it was like, what do they call them? Conversion vans?
Yeah.
Where it's big and it's got the captain seats in the back seat and the fold down bench in the back. And I remember us driving Bobby home and how much fun we were having in the car on the way to getting him dropped off. I don't remember what house he was living at, but I have that memory. And that was the last time I saw him.
I just remembered one other thing. When I was first started going with Bob, we'd been out dancing or something, and he was in my apartment. I had one of those apartments by Mummel's. Just have that apartment house.
In Moab?
Right next door, there's an apartment.
Next to the big house?
Uh-huh.
I barely remember there being something next to the big house.
Anyway, I was living in one of those apartments, and it was late. It was probably at least midnight. And there was a knock on the back door, and it was Jerry Walker.
And what happened?
He just said something, I can't remember what, and turned around and left.
Really? You
Yeah.
think he was sober? Like, that's a random thing to do? He must have heard you were in town or something and just showed up randomly?
I was living there.
Oh, okay.
I went back to Moab and lived several times. I just remember that, and Bob brought that up once in a while.
What did he say?
And he just said,
He must not have liked Jerry,
no, and he didn't think Jerry had any business coming around.
which he
Even
probably
though I had
didn't.
two of his kids.
That's true. He kind of did leave unceremoniously, though, like
Yeah.
out of the, just kind of disappeared off the planet, right? Is that what happened, or he like?
Jerry?
Yeah.
I think he joined the service about then. Or rejoined.
Oh, okay. I didn't know about that.
Yeah, he, because I had to he couldn't rejoin the Air Force, I guess, with two dependents. So we had to, I just took one of the kids, anyway, he could not be financially responsible for the two kids. He could just be responsible for one and rejoin. I can't remember how we did it or why or
Rejoin the Air Force.
He rejoined the Air Force.
Was he like in his 20s or 30s at that point, or like that seems late in years
I think
to
he
be
was
doing
probably
it?
in his late 20s, maybe.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'd forgotten about that.
So I remember when around the time where you were with Vic, about, if you recall, because I don't have it, I asked around and nobody could remember when the new cabin started to come about, you know, because I know that was early
I'm
90s.
thinking 94, but I don't know if that's right.
And how did that come about? Like, what went from, you and Dorothy had together, right? Was it both of yours, or how was that set up?
Well, no, yeah, he left of course my mother outlived my dad, and my mother left the property to both of us, and there was a whole section that we sold to Coal and Fire, which left us both with 80 acres, I think. And so I was left with property, and I sold it, and I hate to say the money's gone.
But you used that money
Mainly to build the new cabin,
Right.
mainly. But Vic and I had a good time on it too, I won't deny that.
Yeah, and that's kind of what I was getting to.
Yeah, we
was
traveled
I know,
and we danced and we went places and we did things.
so it was money well spent, at least, to guys.
I think I paid for a cruise and we went to Vegas.
What was his? I know he did his acts and whatever. Did he have like a steady income? Was he?
No, he didn't have an income, but I'm telling you, that man was so talented and he had such a wonderful voice. I got him first. I went with him to volunteer at different places, like this place, for instance. They have volunteers here. After he did that a while, then he started getting paid and I got him jobs. I got him Spencer and I set up a website for him. We got him work. And he ended up making thousands every time. I was with him for a month in St. Louis on one of the riverboat casinos. I mean, he had some big jobs like that.
What was he doing on those big jobs?
He was singing.
Oh, okay.
Or he was, they were
Paying gigs.
yeah.
So he was pulling in
They
something.
were impersonating shows, maybe.
Right.
He worked for different companies.
That's what they have on those gambling boats and
He was
whatnot.
doing either Dean Martin or Johnny Cash. And I really, and I told him this, if I had known him when he was young and could have fished him then like I did when he was old, you know, he would have been famous.
I remember him being a really good guitar player.
He played guitar, and he had a wonderful voice.
Yeah, he would entertain us at Thanksgiving sometimes. Yeah. We'd be going to, gosh, I don't remember whose house it was, but we'd be at a Thanksgiving gathering. He'd bring his guitar.
He would sing at the drop of a hat.
Yeah.
He was a wonderful dancer, and he was just a lot of fun. But I don't know if I've ever told anybody this, but we were in Albuquerque. He was doing a show in Albuquerque. And he stopped his show and had me stand up, and he put a ring on my finger.
Oh, wow.
But you know, I think more than being engaged, it was for the show. That's the way Vic was. And I wore the ring, and your mother wants that ring. I haven't told her it was supposed to be my engagement ring to Vic. But I really think, when I think back about it, he planned that to be part of his show.
But he only did it the one time, right?
He probably, mentioned getting married. I would never have married him. But I think that was just part of his act.
That's a good part of an act right there.
Because people came up and talked to me after and congratulated me, and
that was
and
in
it was
Albuquerque?
brought up in the shows after that he had done that. Yeah.
Where was that at?
It was in Albuquerque at a casino.
At a casino?
Big crowd.
Yeah, he's definitely a personality, that was for sure.
And I broke up with him before I got with Ron. He called me. He left my house in the morning, and he called me, and he was on his way to Vegas. And I had his damn cat. What was that cat's name? I always had that cat. He left me with his cat and his mother to watch over. I mean, I was going to go see about his mother all the time. And he was on his way. He had a son in Vegas, and he was on his way to Vegas. And I said, that's it, Have somebody come and get your cat. I've had it. And I broke up with him.
What made it, build up to that? That couldn't have been the only thing. It was
just like that. He would take off and not tell me where he was going or anything. And
didn't have wasn't very considerate about what you were doing at the end like that.
He wasn't.
Right.
But I had forgotten about that. But that's why I broke up with him. And I don't know why I was going to Vegas. I don't know why he was going to Vegas.
So, just backtracking just a little bit, I remember talking about your mom. I remember towards the end, we went to visit Neva in a home. It was like I don't know if it was a nursing home. She had to have been in her 80s at the time, because she must have been, what was she, 84, 85?
I think she died when she was 86. I'm not real sure. Dorothy knows all that.
Yeah. I've got March 8th of 92 is the day she died. That's on the website of the, what is it? With all the lineage and...
Ancestry?
Yeah, I think that's on that.
Ancestry.
It said that
That sounds
it was,
right.
March 8th of 92.
Because it was after she died that I had money and I built a cabin.
Okay, so there's a
Which I think was
transition
in
point.
94.
Okay, so what do you remember about having to get her in there?
Well, we put her in a home in Moab. I went with a guy for a while named Dub. Does anybody remember Dub?
Yeah, yep.
Anyway, he came to Moab, and my mother was really bad, and I think before he got there...
She had Alzheimer's.
Yes, and there's a place in Moab I took her up there, and she was okay with it, but Dorothy and Aunt Ethel didn't like her being there. And they got her and took her to Salt Lake to a Catholic home.
I think the place we
Yeah.
was in Moab.
Oh, in
I
Moab.
don't think we drove to Salt Lake, but that was the last time I remember.
I can't
seeing
remember
Neva.
much about it, except that I put her there and they didn't like it. So they put her in that home in Salt Lake, which was a lot more expensive. And, but she was a screamer. You'd just open the doors to that home in Salt Lake, the Catholic home, and you'd hear her screaming.
Wow, she had changed.
Yeah, she was awful.
That's what happens. You become a different person. So that was the house that, is that the house that you went to stay in with Neva and Mamo when they were at Brown's Hole? Is that the same
It's
house?
the same house.
So that's the one, I remember you telling me the story about being really big into the Baptist faith. And
Oh, I tried to fly down the
maybe
stairs.
fly off the top steps and...
With the staircase.
What was the
different
saying?
thing. What was what?
You said something like, I have faith, I can
I
fly.
have faith. I have faith. That's what Dorothy says. She was there and she remembers. She remembers it more than I do.
That was a tall staircase.
Well, it has been redone, but it was tall then too.
I mean,
So, but I was really religious until then. Then I lost all my religious fervor.
I always remember you telling me that story when we were in that house.
And Dorothy loves, and my mother loves to tell people about that too. Dorothy and my mother.
That's a good one. I don't think I have one like that, or of any of my kids doing something crazy like that yet, but...
I really thought that if I prayed hard enough, I could fly. That's what they told us at church. If you pray, you can do anything.
You
You
pray
know?
hard enough, you can do anything. What made you kind of get away from not being as, zealous about it?
I think that helped. Oh, I know what else. I came from Alaska. I was still kind of religious when we lived in Alaska, Jerry and I.
Mm-hmm.
I played the organ for church and everything. But I visited in Moab and they called me to come and take minutes for a meeting at the church. So I went over and prepared to take minutes, and it was a
Take
meeting
minutes.
of the church meeting.
What does that mean, take minutes?
You know how you take minutes of a meeting?
No.
Somebody writes down everything that went on.
Oh, okay. Haven't heard
And
that term.
I realized as it got started that it was a meeting to kick out the preacher because we didn't like his wife. But I got upset about that. I left. I didn't take minutes.
That's kind of political. It's
Yeah.
like not
Yes, I
about
didn't
what
like
it is. Yeah, I could understand that.
So that probably helped.
Going back to a little bit on when the new cabin was built. So you guys separated her Dorothy's land from your land. I don't recall there being a physical separation or anything.
No, just on maps.
Just on maps and everything.
We had plats.
You had the thing built, and it had that really nice deck, had that really cool garden, and it had all the hummingbird plants, the hummingbird feeders, and we had that cool campfire area just down the steps right there.
Which I built, yes.
Yeah, that was really awesome because it had such a great view of the whole valley.
And the last time I went down there, Alexa helped me back up. You remember?
Yeah.
You were just little, and she said, "Take my hand, GrandJan, I'll help you up." And I never went down there again because of my back. I couldn't get down there. That's one reason I decided to sell it.
Because you couldn't enjoy all of it. That's understandable. Did you get any pushback from anybody about building that thing? I heard that maybe some people weren't happy about building another cabin or something like that on that land.
Tracy and Debbie didn't like the whole thing, but I can't remember. Oh, I think when I sold it, I can't really remember why it was kind of unpopular when I sold that land and other people built cabins.
Oh, right, because they probably wanted to keep it more
they wanted to
secluded
keep it private.
Right, right.
And the gate was kind of a problem. They wanted to keep the gate locked, and most of us didn't want to keep it locked.
So people could kind of go freely in and out, the people who belong there, who had land. Do you remember or what came about to say, we gotta get rid of this, I can't do this anymore?
Well, the last thing I really remember is...
Because it needed maintenance every year.
Every year, Ron and I would just work ourselves to death getting that place ready for people, and we had a lot of company.
Can you describe a little bit of what the stuff was, so people understand?
Yes,
what you had
the
to do?
deck had to be redone.
Like stained or varnished or whatever.
And 1 year, Kirk made a mistake of staining it white. Took me months on my hands and knees getting that off. He remembers. They sold it to him with a white base instead of... I didn't even want redwood, I wanted just the brown. Anyway, and we had like 3 potato patches with wonderful potatoes. And your mother and Steve were up there. Ron and I could not dig the potatoes. They had to dig the potatoes up for us. And
but there was something with the water too, like you had to do something with the water system.
Yeah.
There was all kinds of maintenance
There
stuff.
was always problems getting the water in. And that last year we were there, we'd had a lot of company, and there was laundry, sheets and towels and everything all over the bathroom floor, and the washing machine flooded.
Oh no.
And I had that whole big bathroom full of soggy, wet, dirty clothes.
Oh my gosh.
And it was just got to be too much work. And then I had not only my family coming, but I had Ron's family coming too, and it just made a lot of... I love the cooking part of it. I didn't like the laundry because everybody left early, and I was left with all the laundry and everything. Everybody had to leave early and get home. But it was wonderful. I'll never forget the good times we had there, and I was really sad to sell it.
I know.
It was hard.
Yeah, that was a hard thing for everyone to accept because of how many good times and how much fun that
It was.
the whole family at one point or another had been up there multiple times for a whole weekend sometimes, and there was
It was wonderful.
so much to do and stay occupied and go hiking and doing the campfires and just sitting around playing games at the table in the kitchen, and it had that great sitting room with the big windows, to see the whole valley.
It was
and
wonderful.
everything.
It took a lot of planning, a lot of work.
I guess a lot of other people who aren't in the, like for you had to be in on all the planning, all right, these people are going to come up here, these people are going to come up then. We got to make sure we have X, Y, and Z prepped, and all that stuff. And it was,
Even
it wasn't
the building and the furnishing. I furnished that whole place from either things people gave me or from thrift stores. And it took a lot of planning to get it right.
And it had that great upstairs loft too.
Yeah.
Oh man, I love that loft. Had the beds up there, and the kids would always hang up in that loft.
It was wonderful.
Go ahead and